Trapped by the belief that I'm not good enough, bound by the limitations and the lies that consumed my world, this was me. It wasn't until I took the biggest leap in my life to know and trust the power within. And it was at that moment I made a choice. My past will not define me anymore. Hello, I am Teri, and I know I am not alone in this. Over the years, I have found that the number one mistake that we make is that we get in the way of our own success story. Yes, I said it. On this show, together we'll tackle limiting beliefs, self-sabotage, getting stuck, fear, doubt, overwhelm, and the imposter syndrome. Join us on this journey designed to transport you beyond your limitations to a world where anything is possible. This is Talking with Teri.
Hi, and welcome back to Talking with Teri, where we have powerful conversations to transform your life and your business. And our guest today is Jodi Krangle. She's been a voice actor since 2007 and has worked with clients from major brands all over the world, including Dell, BBVA, and Kraft. She's also a singer and has put out her own jazz album, Blues and Traditional Tunes. I can't wait to hear a little bit more about that as well. And she also has her very own podcast called Audio Branding, the Hidden Gem of Marketing. So welcome, Jodi.
Thanks so much for having me. I'm excited.
Yes. Okay. So I just want to dive in because you just have this fantastic, fun energy about yourself. And I just can't wait to hear a little bit more about you. We're meeting through this PodMax experience. And I'm excited about like where this is going to lead and, you know, the connections and collaborations that's happening. And so for folks that don't know you yet, tell us a little bit about your journey and how you got to be where you're at today.
Oh, it's a long journey.
And it's 30 seconds or less.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, you probably get this a lot from a lot of your guests. My journey to being a voice actor, which is what I do all day, every day now, and what I love to do, it was long and winding. A lot of it had to do with computers. I was an early adopter of the computer back in 1986. That was my first computer. The internet, 1995. I loved it. I did SEO and internet marketing for many, many years. And then I got really, really bored. When Google became the only game in town, I just got so bored.
Oh my
So
goodness.
I decided I'd do something different. And voiceover, well, I've been a singer all my life and my family is very musical. So voice, sound was always big. And so I just decided to go for it. And I researched online. That was what I was doing. I wasn't going in my own backyard.
Yeah.
I was looking on the internet and getting, instruction and
Yes.
encouragement from the other people in the field who were kind enough to take me under their wing, and it
Oh, this
worked
is
really
fantastic. We're gonna have to connect afterwards because seriously, like my I could not carry a tune if I tried. Where we'll be showing my singing abilities.
well.
I
That's
would
okay.
scare people. So I love finding, from folks like what has been kind of that biggest challenge or barrier or block that you've had to overcome in order to get to where you're at.
It's a really good question. I would have to say introversion.
Oh, I've never
Yeah.
had this conversation before. Oh, yes. Okay, let's
Yeah.
dive in. Let's hear about it.
Well, part of what I say about being an introvert is that it isn't necessarily that you're shy. I mean, I'm in a business where I need to be on at certain times,
Yes.
authentically, but still on.
Yes.
And I need to make sure that I feed my own mental health in that I have enough time after I do that to sit back and have some peace. Because
Yes.
that's how I replenish my energy. But I had to learn that. That is definitely
Yes.
something I had to learn. And I am like very firmly an INFJ. I don't know if you know like any
Yes,
of
with
these.
the
Yeah,
Enneagram.
exactly.
She's
So
talking about Enneagrams, okay?
yes, yeah, that's Myers-Briggs, right? I
The
think so.
INGF is you're right. You're right. It's you're right.
Uh,
It's
yeah,
Myers-Briggs, not Enneagram. Yeah, the Enneagram
yeah,
is
yeah, it's one or the other.
it's
But
Myers-Briggs.
yeah, but apparently the INFJs are kind of like unicorns because there's like 3% of the population that is this. But I will tell you that I saw a thread in Facebook just recently where a bunch of voice actors were asked what their Myers-Briggs number, like letters.
Yes.
And like so many of us are INFJs. It's
Oh my
funny.
gosh, you found your unicorn tribe.
I definitely
Oh
found
my
my unicorn
goodness.
tribe. Yeah.
I
It's
love it.
amazing. Yeah. So yeah, it's a hard thing to overcome because I think a lot of people do equate it with being shy, but that's not really what it is. It's about how you replenish your energy. And so
Agreed.
yeah,
Yes.
so I have to make very certain that I don't book too many things together, that I don't have interviews or that I'm not interviewing people too close together. Other people can batch these things. I can't. I just
Yes.
can't.
Yes.
So I need to know that about myself.
Yeah, and I think this is really important because I think once we know this, we can figure out like how we. And you're absolutely right. Like it's not whether you're shy or reserved or anything like that. It's how you replenish your energy and how you fuel back up, and this goes back to kind of your self care. And
Mhm.
I always joked with people because I was extraordinarily shy when I was, I mean, so shy. But I didn't want to. I didn't talk to people. I didn't, but over time I became like truly an extrovert. And so I would call myself a true extrovert because that's how I refuel. So conversations like this, like it fuels me, right? And something
Yeah.
like this for you might drain you because you have to be kind of on, right?
Yeah.
What's interesting is I've seen many professional speakers over the years. I would say a good amount of them are introverts, which is interesting because they do kind of have to flip the switch to be on and
Mhm.
go on stage. And then when they come off, they're very different to be around, right? And so, but you have to learn like how do we manage that, and how are we, you know, taking care of ourselves to fuel up. So
Yeah.
what
You
was
have to
it?
play to your strengths, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I feel like this is a journey for everyone, in this process of figuring out like what works for them and what doesn't. Like
Mhm.
what was that for you that really started to, turn on the light bulb of,
I think when I first became self-employed, and that was back in the year 2000, so it's been a while for me, figuring out my best way of working, how I got the most things done in the smallest amount of time, or what happened to me when I had certain deadlines or when I knew I had to be doing things with people on, for a lengthy period of time. And understanding how I reacted to that and how it stressed me out. And
yeah,
then, yeah, figuring out how to come back from that and say, okay, well, so I can do this for a certain amount of time as long as I have, like, say I'm going to a conference. If I'm going to a conference, like I used to do voiceover conferences all the time. I still do occasionally, but obviously the last year and a half has been less of that.
yes, yes, yes,
Um,
yes,
yeah, but when I go to a conference, I have to spend some time in public, either going to watch a workshop or having coffee with friends or whatever and being social and whatever. But I need to make sure that I have a room that I can go to and just chill for a bit. And
yes,
it in complete silence, by the way. Like for me, I actually need silence. It's not listening to music, it's not watching television, it's not having five things on at once in the room.
yes. Well,
It's
that's still
sitting,
that external stimuli that's like rah, rah,
yes,
like
less
coming down on you.
stimulus.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes, stimulus. Yes, I love it. And I think it's the keynote is like no roommates, right? Like just by yourself.
Oh, yeah.
I agree. I agree.
Yeah. Yeah. And I get more from one-on-one conversations than I do group conversations. I much prefer to spend an hour or two with a friend or two friends having coffee and just
Yeah.
having a discussion, as opposed to sitting in the middle of a party with like 50 people or 100 people or
Yes.
whatever, yelling across the room at people. No, no,
Yeah.
especially
So
not for a voice actor.
yes. So let me ask you this because I found this to be true for some folks that and not all folks, but for folks that are more the introverts, because
Mhm.
we have to kind of preserve our energy, right? Um, and some folks that are introverted are also empaths. Would you consider yourself an empath, like where you're taking on other people's energy as well?
Yeah, I think it has that kind of a component to
Component to
it.
it? Okay.
Yeah, and that might be partially why I can't spend too much time being
Yeah.
social
And getting drained.
because yeah, it is very draining to feel all the stuff that's going on around me very deeply and then try not to get weird about it and go away, you know?
Because I will tell you, I meet so many empaths. And so whether you're an introvert or an empath, I think this message can relate to you.
Hmm.
And one of the things that I was speaking in Dallas a couple weeks ago, and I do this energy or this exercise at the very end, and it just raises the vibrations of the room.
Hmm.
And I tell everyone, I said, this is a fantastic exercise, except for my empath, because I'm punching them in the gut when I do this exercise. So I always have to like pause and say, okay, I need everyone who's an empath. I was like, I don't need to know who you are. You know who you are. I need you to protect your energy for this exercise. And so I go through just a really quick, maybe a 30-second exercise, which is what I have them do, is I imagine and them stepping into kind of a bubble, like,
Hmm.
those like iridescent bubbles that you blow, like
Sure.
the kids blow, and just imagine that you're sitting, putting yourself in this bubble, and, it's iridescent, it's moving and it's flowing. And I set the intentions for them is that only allow love and light to come through, because otherwise it's so much. And I was like, you'll thank me later, because I had a couple when I began doing this exercise, I had a couple of empaths come up to me like, Terry, like that's a fantastic exercise, but for us empaths, it was like it was just so much. It was so
Oh, yeah.
overwhelming. And so I was like, I
Yeah.
kind of whammied them, and I'm like, okay, I don't want to, I mean, I don't want to whammy people. Okay. So,
If
so
you
that's
look at
it.
the definition of INFJ, it's in there.
Your unicorns. Yes. Right.
Yeah.
And so my unicorn population, I love it. I've never had a unicorn on here, so I'm excited. Like, and I probably have lots of unicorns in the audience, so you guys can relate to this.
Probably.
Um,
Yeah.
but you're absolutely right. And so, two parts is like, one is if you are the, triple black, double unicorn, um, which you're, I'm doing good, is like, how do you, protect your energy, but also how do you refuel up, and so if that exercise is helpful for the audience, is to, just imagine, and there's lots of ways you can protect your energy. That's one of many, but I have a good friend that he just imagines like, roses flowing around him and just allowing that to be the protection. Or I used to
Oh,
have
I
a
like
client,
that.
I just
Yeah.
used to have a client, and she would always wore pants with belt loops. And so she grounded it, she anchored in every time she would hit like her belt loop on her right side. She imagined that she was like an astronaut, and it was like fueling up her, like getting all puffy. And then she'd have like the big old like screen that would come down and around, go clink, and so she was like, okay, this is my visual, this is my experience,
That's so great.
of feeling like I'm protecting my energy. So there's
Yeah.
lots of ways that you can protect your energy to, maintain that energy, because you don't have a lot to give, because you need to conserve that, conserve that energy. And then, like you said, is like making sure that you have some time to really
Yeah.
um, give yourself permission. Because I think some of the folks that out there, especially when you're feeling like you have to be on, and
Hmm.
especially if you're in a conference or something that's, a 2-day or a 3-day or, a 5-day event, it's exhausting. Um,
It
you know,
totally is. I
to,
can't
and
have roommates. It's gotten to the point where I can't at this point have roommates at a conference. I need my own room.
yeah.
Just,
Well, and
I know me.
yeah, yeah, I get it. And I'm the opposite. I'm always like, ooh, I wonder who could be a roommate, because
Yeah.
I'm like
Yeah.
the opposite, right? Like, I think I've gone and done events maybe twice without having roommates, but I'm like, oh, this is exciting. This is fun. So,
Yeah.
um, so what would, anything else that you can share with our listeners that would be a great, tool or strategy, in supporting them in, kind of this journey that you've had to go through and discover about yourself, about being an introvert, and how, you can best, be at your A-level game,
Hmm.
and being able to nurture this as well.
I think that you need to be kind to yourself. And I think that
Yeah.
that is a hard thing, especially for empaths. Very hard thing because we are
Yes.
so awful to ourselves, especially creatives. Oh my goodness. There are things I say in my own head to myself that no one would ever get away with saying to me.
Yes.
Right? So I have to be very, very careful about not being too hard on myself. If I'm overloaded, just take a minute.
Yeah.
Just step back, just, go to the washroom, like use the restroom, just do whatever you need to do to just get yourself away for a moment, give yourself some breath, and then come back. And,
Yeah.
it's just, you have to be kind to yourself. I just think we're so awful to ourselves and expect so much while we're giving so much. And I think that we need to be kind.
Yeah. And I think that's a lot of gold right there because I know, and you're an entrepreneur, you're self-made entrepreneur. And I think and most of my audience is entrepreneurs or business
Mhm.
owners. And I think we can be our own worst critic
Oh, yeah.
and we can beat ourselves up so much that we do find ourselves in this spiral, and it doesn't help whatever, if we are feeling overwhelmed or stressed or,
Hmm.
are we doubting ourselves or self-sabotage, like anything that we're doing, that is not going to help us. It's not going to be a contribution, to supporting us in our highest and greatest good. Like what are we here
Hmm.
to do? What is our passion? What is our purpose?
If I can
And we're,
mention one more thing
yeah,
along
do
that
please.
line, outsourcing. Let me just tell you, outsourcing, oh my
Oh my
God,
gosh, I love you.
yes. Yeah, well, because if we're going to be entrepreneurs and live our
Yes,
best lives and do our best work, we need to do the work that we feel we are best at, as opposed to
agreed.
wasting our time doing stuff we don't like and that someone else would do way better than we do.
Yes. And I get that it's scary, when when you're getting out there and you're doing, you're building your business, you're building your brand, but it is looking at, what can I outsource that I
Hmm.
dislike the most? There's a fantastic book out there that I feel like it's kind of like the closest thing to a business Bible, if there is a business Bible, and it's called the E-Myth Revisited by Michael Gerber. And he
Hmm.
talks about like, creating a company flow chart. And, within that company flow chart is like, as an entrepreneur, you're doing all these different hats. You're wearing every single hat in the
Oh,
business.
yeah. Yeah.
And, it's like, and it's figuring out what do you feel called to do? And what do you feel is the easiest and is in your wheelhouse, in your zone of brilliance? And then
Hmm.
let's create the plan to outsource the rest of this because, that creates much unneeded stress, So the
Yeah.
faster we can get there and the faster we can, start to incorporate other people doing the things that they're best at is absolutely 100%. So I think
I
that's a
think it
great.
can, yeah, I think it can happen a lot faster than people think too, because the minute that you give that job to someone else, you can focus more on what you do best. And that, let's be plain about this. That makes you more money
Exactly.
so
And
that
I think
you
that's
actually, yeah,
I think that's sometimes a hard concept for people to grasp because they're like,
yeah,
wait, I'm going to be paying this
spend money to
person.
make money.
Right. And so,
Yeah.
even if you just, a couple of those tasks, like if just having a VA that takes away the paperwork or
Oh,
I
yeah.
have some of my clients have, bigger teams where they can outsource that. But it's always looking at I'm always asking them, what can you take off your plate that is not
Hmm.
serving you? Or what can you take off the plate that is not bringing you joy? Because what happens from an energetic perspective, if I'm spending my time on this one task and I'm like, for example, yesterday I was talking to one of my clients and she's like dealing with stuff that she should not be doing. She was dealing with bookkeeping stuff and
Oh,
getting her taxes prepped. And I'm like, and she literally is like, oh my goodness, why? And so what's happening energetically is she is like coming down that scale of vibration and she's going fast into frustration, fast into anger, fast into resentment. And now she's at this vibrational level that's like this. And now
hmm,
she's
yeah.
expecting to still continue generating leads from a higher vibration. Well, it's impossible. And so I'm like, okay, your task is get what you need to get done, outsource that bad boy, and you have the next, like I gave her 4 hours to get what she needed to do. So that way she was like done with that because that was an energetic suck for her
Yes.
business.
Yeah.
And then I was like, and now you're gonna go back and do this exercise, which is gonna get her back into high vibration, which is gonna also allow her to attract more into her company
Yeah.
with more ease. And so it can be as simple as that. And I think that's a great point that you bring up is like when you're doing things that you're not supposed to be doing or not
Well, when you're
in
you're doing
alignment
something,
with.
yeah, if
Yeah.
you don't enjoy it, like I don't mind my bookkeeping because I'm both right and left brained.
Yes.
So I actually like
You
knowing
really
what's
are a
going on.
unicorn. Okay, just admit it. Just admit it.
Yeah, so do what you like to do. Keep in touch. And in
Yeah.
fact, I think that as a business owner, you need to do everything in your business to know how it should be done
Yeah.
before you pass it on to someone
Yeah.
else.
Yeah.
But, at the same time, whatever you like doing, you can keep doing and
Yes.
just pass off everything else to someone
Yes.
else.
I love it. Brilliant. Okay. So, Jodi, this has been amazing. Thank you so much for being
Thank
on here
you.
and some great nuggets from, our short conversation here. And so I would love for the listeners to know, how can they reach out to you? How can they connect with you? How can they have further conversations with you? To connect with you a little bit further.
Sure. My voiceover website is at voiceoversandvocals.com. So anyone who's interested in voiceovers or who needs voiceovers, I do mostly commercial and corporate narration. So happy to talk with you if you need a
I'm
voice
going
for
to
your
start
brand.
doing a radio voice. Hello, Jodi.
Yeah. The thing about voiceovers is that these days, actually, it's all about authenticity because no one wants someone to put anything on. They just really don't. So I'm just me when I do stuff. It's just
Okay, thank you for
knowing
just giving me like and you probably see this. I'm going to digress for a second.
it's okay.
You probably see this a lot in the sense of um, people not liking their voice, because I think that's probably the number one thing
Ah,
when anyone's doing recordings, Facebook. I have clients that are like, they're doing videos for their website or things, and they're like, oh, I don't do the videos because I
hmm.
don't like my voice. I don't do interviews because I don't like my voice. I bet you
Yeah.
get that 100%, right?
I do. And actually, that leads into where else you can find me. The Audio Branding Podcast is at audiobrandingpodcast.com. And if you don't like your voice, I would really suggest that you listen to the episode, and it's a two-parter that I have with a woman named Cynthia Jai, who is a voice coach from Singapore, actually, who helps powerful CEOs sound powerful.
I love it. Okay, what
Yeah.
was her name again? Cynthia.
Cynthia Jai, but it's spelled Zhai, I believe.
Okay, I'm going to check that out
Yeah,
because I might be able to, send that out to other folks that are
yeah,
having that same struggle and challenge, right? Because
definitely.
you're absolutely right. When you're standing in your, when you're being authentic and you're
Hmm.
standing 100% in your power, there's power in your presence.
Oh,
And,
yeah.
if you have all of that in alignment, you are a force to be reckoned with. So
It's very
I
powerful.
love
Yeah.
it. Jodi, thank you so much for being here. I can't wait to connect further with you and learn more
Thanks.
about you and just continue this conversation. So,
This was
uh,
really great. You're a great
fantastic.
interviewer. I appreciate it.
Thank you. Thank you. So I will put all of her details in the show notes. Everyone, please reach out to her, send her some love, connect with her, collaborate with her. Jodi, thank you so much for being here with us today.
Thank you.
I am so grateful that you joined me for this episode. If you've enjoyed this, then there's just one thing that I would like you to do. Click to subscribe and leave me a rating and review. As my way to thank you, let's connect for a free consultation. Just reach out to me at talkingwithteri, that's TERI.com, to book your time.